A cruise can be a relaxing vacation, but sometimes cruises go wrong. We've all heard horror stories of cruises and how there can be problems on cruises. Lots of issues sometimes. Sometimes they can be good. Sometimes they can be bad. Sometimes they can be really bad. So, I guess as we begin the story, I will ask you to contemplate what is the worst way that your cruise could possibly end? Whatever you're thinking, you're probably wrong. So that will bring us to today's story. Celebrity cruises kept the passenger's dead body in a drinks cooler for 6 days and let it rot. So yeah, that's different. You have someone die on board. Let's put them into a drinks cooler. I'm sure that'll be fine. Okay. An elderly man's corpse was left to rot in 6 days for inside the drinks cooler after he died on board. In a federal complaint filed in federal court, the family of Robert Jones, 78, accuses the cruise line of improperly storing his body, resulting in decomposition. The lawsuit accuses the celebrity of concealing the fact it didn't have a working morgue on board and discouraging his wife from taking his body to be processed in Puerto Rico, which might be a very reasonable thing to do. You know, my husband's dead. You know, can we, take him to Puerto Rico? And no, it's fine. It's fine. We can take the body here and it'll be all good. And when you return to your regular port, the body was found by a funeral worker lying in a bag on the cooler's floor. The plaintiff are seeking $1 million in damages. The lawsuit says the individual died of a heart attack on board the Celebrity Equinox in summer of 2022. His wife was apparently given two options for what to do with the body. She could have had the body removed from the ship in Puerto Rico or leave it on board until it returned to Fort Lauderdale. According to the lawsuit, the ship's personnel gave the wife a list of reasons not to use Puerto Rico. They said it would require her to stay in Puerto Rico and arrange transport of herself and the body to mainland herself. It also indicated that Jones was told Puerto Rican authorities might insist on an autopsy, delaying return of the body. Which, yeah, maybe. But, the other option was to keep the body in the morgue. Cruise ships are legally required to have morgues, but that can store bodies for weeks. However, apparently the morgue was out of action. So they said we can keep the body in the morgue, but the morgue wasn't working. So how about the drinks cooler instead? That's equally good. The complaint says the funeral home worker and sheriff's deputy went to collect the corpse and found it on the floor of the cooler with drinks placed outside, and temperature is not sufficient for storing a dead body. The body was not located on a bed or a medical table, simply lying on a pallet on the floor. The lawsuit claims the poor storage meant the body could not be made presentable for open casket, despite that being what the funeral they wanted. The lawsuit claims they acted recklessly, willfully, and wantonly without care by failing to ensure the morgue was working and careful storage of the remains. This is the worst Baylor-Bailey law hypothetical I've seen in a while. Wow. Celebrity cruises do not respond to comments. I bet not. Thus, that is the story of what happened aboard the ship Equinox, pictured here. A person died on board, which happens sometimes. People die, and cruise ships are supposed to have morgues because people die on ships. And then that would be good. But their morgue was not working. No big deal because we have a drinks cooler. The drinks cooler, unsurprisingly, was not designed to store bodies. So, yeah, and the body was just left to basically rot for the 6 days on the floor of the cooler. So, this woman's cruise experience was not all it was supposed to be. This was probably not what was listed in the brochure for the cruise. So she is filing suit for all that. And that brings us to the end of the discussion of this story.